Yes, sir.
Yes, everybody's present.
Okay. All right, folks. Can we recall our witness, please? All right, Sergeant Ingham, summon our jurors, please, sir. All right, ladies and gentlemen, please be seated.
All jurors present, counsel.
All right, thank you, Sergeant Ingram. All right, Mr. Brown, you may continue, sir.
Mr. Byron, just a few questions related to some of the things that we were talking about earlier. Do you remember talking about, before we broke, a little bit about the gate that is adjacent to the barbershop?
Yes.
And I want to ask you, around what time did Mr. George usually close that gate on work days?
We pretty much close at 8, but if it's slow around 7 or whatever, he'll get ready, make preparation to close it.
And around what time did he close it on January 10, 2015?
It could have been close to 7 or a little bit out.
Okay, and would the time that around the time that Nutt moved his vehicle would have been around or about that time just before the gate was closed?
Yes.
To be sure, what would you say it was about for him to move his car, time-wise?
How long it took him to move his car?
About what time you think he moved in relation to when Mr. George closed that gate?
I don't know the exact time, but like I said, anywhere between 7-ish.
Okay. Just a few more questions. About how long would you say that it takes for you to cut guys' hair at the barber shop? Let me rephrase that question. About how long did it take you to cut the customer's hair that you had in your chair after you cut Nutt's day? after Nutt's hair was cut that day?
Mr. George got through with Nut first, and probably about 10 or 15 minutes after that, I was through with the gentleman.
Were you paying attention to the exact time that Nutt left the barbershop?
No,
No, not.
I mean, just regular time.
Okay. All right, just a few questions related to the barbershop that you spoke about, in terms of things you spoke about earlier before we broke. Do you want to talk about a lot of things inside the barbershop with your customers?
Absolutely.
And do you tend to go to the police and tell them, did you go to the police, excuse me, and tell them what you remembered that night?
No, sir.
Okay. Oh, why not?
I mean, that's not my duty to go to the police, but if they come and, like, when that situation happened, they got all our IDs and all our identities, and they interviewed us right on the spot.
Did you even want to testify here today? Your Honor, the relevance of bias to show absence.
I'll rule the objection.
You can answer that question.
No.
Okay. Why not?
I mean, because I just felt like I didn't see anything, and I didn't participate in it until just me being a citizen, just trying to render aid. But I didn't want to stop my money to come down here, but when y'all subpoenaed me, I had to come.
I understand. Is talking to the police something that is popular to do amongst your patrons?
Objection.
I was Mr. Sharp, Mr. Adams, Ms. Weaver. I sustain the objection.
Why did you tell Reverend Parker to lock the door behind you?
Reverend who?
Why did you tell Reverend Foster?
Okay, Reverend
My
Foster.
apologies.
Got to put some respect on his name.
Yes, sir. I will put it all of them. Right, so you can answer the question. Why did you tell him lock?
Lock the door?
Yes.
What do you mean?
Did you tell Reverend Foster to lock the door at any point during this incident on January 10, 2015?
No, when I went out the door, Reverend Foster came behind me out the door to go render some aid to see what's going on.
I am going to now show you what has been previously marked as States Exhibits 292, Yankee Alpha 1, 292, Yankee Alpha 2, 292, Yankee Alpha 3, and there is an amendment that needs to be made here. And I approach the defense counsel what has been previously called out for the purposes of the record, that they may have an opportunity to view the same. Thank you, sir. I'm now approaching the witness with 292 Yankee Alpha 1, 2, and 3. Mr. Wise, please take a moment to look at what I've handed you, and then once you have had the opportunity to do so, please look up at me so I know you have finished. What are States Exhibits 292 Yankee Alpha 1 through 3?
It's a picture of the barbershop and some people that's there.
Do those appear to be still images from the surveillance footage that we showed you earlier?
Yes, still footage.
And does that, do those pictures that have been appropriately labeled States Exhibits 292 Yankee Alpha 1 through 3 fairly and accurately depict the area where you were located on January 10, 2015, around or about 330 McDaniel Street, Southwest Atlanta, Georgia?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this time, the state now moves to admit States Exhibits 292 Yankee Alpha 1 through 3 and request permission to publish the same subject to your review.
Any objection or further objection to States 292 Yankee Alpha 1, 2, or 3?
I object to being cumulative of the videos being used and published.
All right, I'll rule that objection. I'll give you continued objection. Their admitted over objection may be published as you see fit.
Thank you, Your Honor. All right, starting with States Exhibit 292 Yankee Alpha 1, which you can view probably in a better way to the left of you on the screen, Mr. Wise. All right, and I'm gonna orient it in a second, Pierce. Okay, all right, no problem. Mr. Wise, can you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the time stamp that is at the top of this still image that has been labeled States Exhibit 292 Yankee Alpha 1.
18:46 seconds.
Is that AM or PM associated with that time stamp?
PM.
Okay, and do you see any persons or that you can identify or recognize in this picture?
Yes.
Who do you see in this picture?
I see me, Reverend Foster, and D.
Okay, if you would be as kind to put an arrow by yourself. If you, let me make sure it's compliant. This has a mind of its own. If you would be as kind to put an arrow by yourself. And are you wearing what appears to be like, what color are you wearing?
I don't know. It's just can't tell exactly. What color
Okay,
it is.
all right. Now publishing States Exhibit 292 Yankee Alpha 2. Who do you see in this picture?
Reverend Foster and D. And me.
Okay, same picture, same people as. Where do you see yourself? Or who's leading this? Who's ahead on this walkway?
This one is Reverend Foster.
Okay, where, and if you would put a circle above the head of Reverend Foster, where you see? All right, and would you put a star above your head where you see yourself? And would you put a square above the head where you see D? Okay, all right. Now publishing States Exhibit 292 Yankee Alpha 3. Okay, I'm going to clear the screen. And do you see yourself again?
Not really in this.
Okay, who else do you, who
Oh
else?
yeah. I see me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who, all right, put a circle above your head. Who else do you see in this picture?
D.
Where do you see D? Put a square above his head. And where do you see, who else do you see, if anyone?
That's all that I know, cause
Okay.
yeah.
All right. And Mr. Wise, I want to ask you, did that conclude your involvement with this matter here?
Yes, just rendering aid and making sure.
All right, the state now passes the witness, Your Honor, to the defense for any subject cross-examination.
All right, Mr. Weinstein, anything? Mr. Matthews, anything? Ms. D. Williams? Ms. Westmoreland? Mr. Sharp? Mr. Adams?
No, sir.
Mr. Weinstein, anything? I asked you twice, I'm sorry. Okay, all right. Permanent or temporary excusal, sir?
Your Honor, we would permanently excuse Mr. Wise.
All right, Mr. Wise, thank you for your patience with us. I'm going to permanently excuse you to witness. You're free to go about your usual duties and what you've had planned. Just don't discuss testimony with anybody except the attorneys in this case, okay? Thank you for your patience with us. Thank you, sir. All right, state, call your next witness.
Your Honor, state calls Mr. Reginald Hendrick to stand.
Reginald Hendrick, summon Mr. Hendricks, please. Mr. Hendricks, good afternoon, sir. Up here, come on up. Sir, if you would please approach the witness stand, and once you get there, before you sit down, turn and face Deputy Ham to be sworn as a witness, sir.
You swear to follow the testimony to the report of the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth to ever.
Yes, sir.
You may be seated. Scoot close to the mic for me, please. Please state your first and last name with the spelling of both, please, for the record.
Reginald Hendrick. Good afternoon, Mr. Hendricks. How you doing?
All right.
Can you tell the jury where you're from?
John Home, Atlanta, Georgia,
Okay. What part of Atlanta is it John Hope,
Castleberry,
Castleberry?
yes,
What are some other neighborhoods around Castleberry?
Mechanicsville, and Pittsburgh.
Now, what was the street that you grew up on?
Northside Drive.
Okay. Is there a McDaniel Street near Northside Drive?
Yes, sir.
Where did you go to school in that area?
I went on John Kerry. I went on Kennedy Middle School.
Okay. And do you have any siblings?
Yes.
How many?
5.
Are you the oldest, youngest, or
The youngest.
youngest? Now, do you still live near that area today?
Yes, I'm close by.
Growing up in that area, did you get to know a lot of the people that live in Castleberry near Northside Drive?
Yes, sir.
Do you know that area in terms of businesses and shops in that area?
Yes, sir.
Are you familiar, well, let me ask you this before that. Growing up, what did you do for a living?
I sold drugs.
Okay. What area or what part of the city did you sell drugs?
On McDaniel Street.
On McDaniel Street?
Yes.
What part of McDaniel Street?
Right there by the Texaco.
Okay. Now, how often would you be out at that Texaco on McDaniel Street back then?
By 8 o'clock to around about 7 or 8 o'clock.
So is that 8 in the morning till 7 or 8 at night?
Yes, sir.
How many days a week?
Probably about 5 or 6.
Being out there 5, 6 days a week, did you get to know other people who frequent that area?
Yes, sir.
Now, do you have any convictions in the past 10 years?
Yes.
What do you have?
Criminal damage.
So property and a theft by taking, does that sound right?
Yes, sir.
Is that from 2023? Does that sound correct?
Yes, sir.
And do you have a 2018 possession of marijuana in Texas Street?
Yes, sir.
Now, how many years would you say that you sold drugs or spent time at Texaco?
About 10.
10. Orienting back to January 10th, 2015, was that a time that you frequented that area a lot?
Yes.
Did you ever know the owner of that Texaco gas station?
Yes, sir.
Remember his name?
Gary.
Did you ever know any of the barbershops near that Texaco?
Yes, sir.
And I'm gonna publish case exhibit, it's already admitted, is 90 Yankee. So Mr. Hendricks, there's gonna be a photograph that comes up on your immediate left. And you tell me if you recognize that location.
That McDaniel Street.
Is that the Texaco you were just discussing?
Yes, sir.
Now, what barbershops are nearby that Texaco?
Mr. George and Noah Barbershop.
And which barbershop did you go to in either of those?
Mr. George,
How long did you go to Mr. George's barbershop?
since I was a little boy.
Now, who would cut your hair at Mr. George's barbershop?
Mr. George,
Why did you go to Mr. George?
he always on cutting my hair since I was a little boy.
Did you get familiar, get to know people that also went to Mr. George's barbershop?
Yes, sir.
Would you ever spend any time other than Texaco in between the Texaco and the barbershops in the parking lot or sidewalk?
Yes, sir.
Did you get familiar with people who would hang out in those locations?
It wasn't nothing but the regular people from the neighborhood.
If someone who wasn't a regular person from the neighborhood was over that way, would they stick out or not stick out?
They won't stick out like that. Cause really everybody from the neighborhood gonna be right up.
So if you had someone who was from outside the neighborhood, would you recognize that?
Yeah, you'll recognize them quick. Everybody get to looking like who that is. Well,
Are you familiar with Cleveland Avenue in Atlanta?
yes, sir.
Are you familiar with any street gangs from that part of the city?
Yes, sir.
Which ones?
Rock Crew,
Any others?
YSL.
Did you know any Rock Crew or YSL members in your time in the streets?
Yes.
Who?
Little boy,
Buck Buck?
yeah.
How did you end up knowing him?
He from university. A lot of when they tore down on university, we went there.
Did you know anyone else other than Buck Buck?
Wilbur Lee, that's his brother.
Okay. Now, would people from Cleveland Avenue or anyone in Rock Crew or YSL ever hang out at the Texaco?
No, sir.
Would they ever hang out at the barbershop, Mr. George's, or Hair Unlimited, 330 McDaniel Street?
No, sir.
On January 10th, 2015, were people from YSL Rock Group ever hanging out at either of those three locations?
No, sir.
Did you ever know someone whose name is Donovan Thomas, also known as Peanut or Nut, sir?
Yes, sir.
How did you know him?
Childhood friend.
What did you call him?
Nut, peanut,
Did he have any nickname for you?
Guido.
Did anyone else call you Guido besides Nut?
No, sir.
If you had a ballpark, how old were you when you met Mr. Thomas?
About 15. He was about 13.
Did he grow up near where you did?
Yeah, he stayed at the bottom. I stayed at the top.
And what do you mean by that? He said at the bottom.
Bottom of the apartment in University Hall.
Did you all go to school together?
No, sir.
Did you know his mother, Miss Evans?
Yes, sir.
How did you know her?
We used to go down here house and play the game. We used to play in front of their yard and stuff.
Did you ever spend any time staying at Miss Evans' residence?
Yes, sir.
When was that?
When I had got shot the first time, I had stayed over there.
What year was that?
Like 2012 or 13.
And
No, it was about 2010 when I first got shot.
and real briefly, what kind of situation was that? What happened?
I had somebody tried to rob with
Wait,
a.
wait, there's an objection.
That's relevant.
Your Honor, it's relevant to explain. You just mentioned being shot, so that's.
Okay, all right. I'll overrule the objection.
Mr. Hendrick, you may answer that.
Sir,
Mr. Hendrick, you may answer that question.
I ain't hear what he said.
He said basically he overruled the defense counsel's objection. So when you were talking about being shot the first time, what was the circumstances of that brief? What happened?
Oh, somebody tried to rob me.
And after that, did you spend time in Miss Evans' house?
Yeah, when I had got shot, I had left the house full. I went on straight over their house.
And they let you stay there?
Yes, sir.
Did you know Mr. Donald Thomas Sr., Nut's father?
Yes, sir.
Now, where would Nut get his haircut?
Mr. Jordan.
Now, back in, how often would you see Mr. Thomas? Back in January of 2015.
Every day, every other day, he'll pull up.
And is that similar in terms of 2014 or 2013?
He was pulling up.
Now, back then, do you know what kind of car Nut drove?
He had a GTO, red GTO. Then he painted. He wrecked it, then painted it black.
Did he ever have a blue truck?
Yes.
Now, how often would Peanut go to that area of McDaniel Street where the barbershops are?
That's it every day. That home to him.
Now, would he take the same route to get there?
Yes, sir.
What was that route?
Coming off Metropolitan, coming from like the west end, you go up under the bridge.
Now, when Mr. Thomas Nut would get to McDaniel Street area, how would people react to that? Would people know he's there or not?
They'll put it like that. When he ain't around, it be dead. Like everybody know when he pull up, everybody get to pop him up from everywhere. Everybody just pop up.
Did people recognize his car in the area?
We did, like the homies did. Like
Wait, one sec. Speculation? Mr. Sharp? Okay, I got it. Okay. I'm gonna sustain the objection.
Mr. Hendrick, you just said that when Donovan Thomas arrived on the scene, everybody would come out. Do you remember that?
yes, sir.
How is it that everyone would come out when he arrived on the scene? How did they know he was there?
Like when he pull up,
Hold on, wait. Overruled. Now he can answer the question.
Thank you, Your Honor. You may answer, Mr. Hendrick.
like it'll be won't nobody be outside. Soon he pull up, like everybody know he there.
And with you being in that, you would be in that area about 5 or 6 days a week. Is that what you testified to?
I sustain the question as to form.
Mr. Hendricks, were you out in that area often when Mr. Thomas would?
Yes.
How would people, would there be would you be the only person outside or would other people?
A lot of people be out there too.
How did they react when Donovan Thomas arrived to the location?
We gonna smoke. you know, be outside smoking. We're gonna get some blunts, go to the barbershop, get our haircut and stuff.
Would people other than yourself recognize his car when you drove up to the location you went to frequently?
Objection, calls for speculation.
I sustain it.
Like when
Hold on, you can't answer the question when I sustain it, okay? All right.
Was Mr. Thomas well known in that neighborhood?
yes, sir.
Was he well known in the city of Atlanta?
Yes, sir.
Did you ever know someone by the name or their stage name is YSL?
Yes, sir.
How did you know them?
When Lucci first came on the scene, he pulled up on me and told me to listen to him.
And when he said, told you to listen to him, does that mean his music that he made?
Yes, sir. And I told him that his $1 million.
And who did you tell that's his $1 million?
Nut, I told that to Nut.
After you heard YSL's music,
Yes, sir.
did Nut and Lucci have a relationship with one another?
Yes.
Were they friends?
Yes.
Were they close?
Yeah.
What part of the city is YSL and Lucci from?
Summerhill.
Do people in Summerhill and people in Castleberry know each other?
Objection, calls for
No.
speculation.
I sustain the objection.
How
Nah,
close is Summerhill and Castleberry?
that's about a 10-minute walk.
Now, did you ever know someone by the stage name, Reginald Hendrick?
Yes, sir.
How did you first know about him?
He used to pull up at Tesco with Mozzie.
Is that Texco on McDaniel Street?
Yeah, Tesco on McDaniel Street.
Now, you said Mozzie. Who's Mozzie?
Mozzie from East Atlanta.
When you first saw him, was Reginald Hendrick, how old would you say he was?
He was about 16, 17.
And did Donovan Thomas ever know or have a relationship with Reginald Hendrick?
Yes, sir.
What was that relationship?
On some music.
Did he have a music relationship with Wycliffe Lucci too?
Yes, sir.
Now, Mr. Hendricks, is Donovan Thomas alive today?
No, sir.
Where were you the day that he passed away?
I was right there on McDaniel Street.
Can you tell the jury how that day started for you?
I was just leaving my rooming house and I was going to get me a haircut. I supposed to be going to the movie that night. So it was about 50 people out there, everybody rushing in the barbershop
Why were people rushing in the barbershop?
to get a haircut.
Did you, when you got to the barbershop, do you remember around what time you got there?
Around about 6 or 7.
And when there's a lot of people at the barbershop, how does it work when you wait for a haircut? You have to take a ticket, do they take your name, how does it work?
You got to just wait on your turn.
Now, did you wait inside or outside the barbershop?
Outside.
I'm gonna publish what's already been admitted as 6 Yankee, Your Honor. Mr. Hendricks, in a couple seconds, photographs gonna appear on that same screen. And is this the barbershop?
Yeah, Mr. George barbershop.
And so you said that you were waiting outside when you were waiting for your hair.
Yeah, on the side.
Did you see Nut out there?
Somebody that day?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Where was it?
He was in the parking lot right now.
I'm gonna publish what's already been admitted as 12 Yankee. Mr. Hendricks, another photograph appear your side. Do you see the area where you saw Nut at after you came out of the barbershop?
Right here.
And Mr. Hendricks, I'm gonna show you something real quick. Touch screen. And so if you touch it, there'll be a red line. Can you circle where when you first saw Mr. Donovan Thomas, you knew it was not at the barbershop that day, or outside the barbershop? Do you see his truck?
Right here.
And did you walk up and greet him when you saw him?
Yes, sir.
What were you doing with him while you were waiting for your haircut?
We were smoking. We had got some, I had walked to the store and got some blunts.
What was the move? Did you go to Texaco to get those?
Yes, sir.
Did you, when you got back, what was the mood like outside?
It was some bad, you could tell it was something in the air, how everybody was moving. It was some bad movement going on. you weren't feeling it.
What do you mean about that?
How everybody wore like this, they know what something was going on. Folk pulling off, they moving all funny, the bad movement.
How was, back at that time, like in the weeks and months before the day that Nut was killed, would you see him often?
Yes,
Was he moving any different in that time frame?
yes, like he felt something, like he wasn't acting like himself. Like he knows something, it was something in the air.
Now, I'm gonna publish, Mr. Hendricks, what's been marked as, and already admitted as 292 Yankee Golf. Another photograph is gonna come up on that screen. Now, I'm gonna help clear this. I'm gonna ask you if you see there you go. Now, what were you wearing that night, Mr. Hendricks?
I had on a black leather coat. I probably had on a t-shirt.
Do you see yourself in this photograph?
Not, I can't really tell, but I was in the area. I know I was right there somewhere because he was right there.
Do you see Byron Thomas in this?
Right there?
Can you draw a circle around him? Now, Mr. Hendricks, do you see someone with a black leather jacket in this photograph?
I can't really tell.
Sorry. I'm gonna, also, does Byron Thomas have anything on his head?
Yeah, skull cap.
Is that what he had that night?
Yeah, he had on a black skull cap, I think.
Your Honor, I'm approaching the witness what's been already admitted as 215 Yankee Alpha. If any defense counsel wants to see it, okay. Now, Mr. Hendricks, I'm gonna give you some gloves. I'm gonna ask you to open this to see what's inside of it, and if you recognize it.
I'm gonna put them on.
If you don't mind, sir. You can. Put some on with you, Mr. Hendricks. Now, Mr. Hendricks, I'm handing you what was inside of 215 Yankee Alpha. You let me know if you recognize that.
I don't recognize this.
Okay, that's perfectly fair. Thank you, sir.
All right.
I'll grab those gloves back from you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Hendricks. Now, how close were you to Nut while you were standing outside waiting for your haircut?
I real close. All of it right. I think didn't it? I think he had made it in there to get his haircut. I think he did.
And you said he had gotten his haircut and came outside?
Right. I think he did make it in there.
Now, while you were outside, was there anyone else you knew other than Peanut?
Yeah, it was a lot of it from the neighborhood. And, some of them little boys from Summer Hill right now who doing all the funny movement. How they were going back and forth. You could tell something was going on.
Did you see anyone you knew as Tiger out there?
Yeah, he was out there.
How old would he have been back then?
Probably about 14.
Now, while you were standing, is this the photograph that's on the screen? Is this where, well, let me ask you this. While you were out there at this location standing next to Peanut, did anything happen?
Somebody at night.
Correct.
Like, be honest, like, we standing right there, so him, gray Pontiac pull across. It slow rolled across. Before the Pontiac pulled out, I told you about the funny movement going on, like it was a call came through. So him, they had the car had pulled out there when the Pontiac slow rolled across the barbershop. And it came out the teeth. They shot like 3 times when we want to see we got some guns. Soon they got right up by the nut, and when all the commotion happened.
I want to break some of that down. So you see how there's some headlights on photograph on screen? Was the car that you saw, was it coming that way down?
They were coming across from McKinneyville way,
Would that be,
where the railroad track is.
okay. So you see how there's that light pole in this photograph on screen, Mr. Hendricks?
It came from that way.
Okay, the same way that car is traveling?
Yeah, it came from that way.
And what stood out about the car that you saw? I mean, in terms of what drew your attention to it?
It slow rolled across, and first thing, it creeping across. Like on Boys, you watching Boys, anybody seen Boys in the Hood, you know it's a drive-by.
Were you able to get out anything before?
I tried to get it out before I get ready to tell them drive-by. They was already at the one, at the T.
And when you say out the T, what do you mean by that?
On sunroof.
What was the person out the sunroof doing?
He had a chopper with the mask over his face.
And did you see, what was that person that was with the chopper outside the sunroof doing? Were they looking around? What were they doing?
Like basically, like they were looking for their man. You know, you ride by, they say on the shooter, you ride by looking like where he at. You hit right here just to make the crowd move, and you went straight at your target.
Now, when that car got closer to where Peanut was standing, was there more or less shots?
All the shots.
And when you say a chopper, what do you mean by that?
A Honda shot, machine gun.
If you remember or recall, about how many shots did you hear from that machine gun?
Probably about 100.
Now, after the shooting starts, what did you do? What did you get shot? Let me ask you that.
Yes, sir.
Where did you get shot?
In the back.
Do you still have a scar there today?
Yes, sir.
Did you initially realize that you got shot?
I didn't know I was shot at first.
What did you do immediately after the shooting?
I had laid, be honest, I had laid down that little tiger. I told him to play, don't move, play dead. You feel me? I had said him like, he gonna get back up and hop on, try to run.
And so you told Little Tiger to stay down?
Yeah,
Was he shot as well?
he got shot in the leg.
Now, I'm gonna publish what's already been admitted as 15 Yankee. Mr. Hendricks, another photograph is gonna come up. I'm gonna clear this. It's gonna pop right back up.
Let's see.
Do you see the area where you and Tiger went to after the shooting in this photograph?
We were right up by the car area. We were right up in that area somewhere.
On the ground to the,
To the right, on my right.
did you call out for any help?
Somebody was on the ground. Everybody was already at though.
Initially, did people realize that you and Tiger were back there?
Yeah, eventually, yeah. It took a little minute, cause everybody was still, cause like when Nut got shot, I seen the blood spit up out his mouth and everything.
Now, I'm gonna go back to 14 Yankee, Mr. Hendricks. There's gonna be another photograph gonna come up. Do you see what direction or where did Nut go after he was struck?
He was right at the barbershop. He was going in Nord barbershop. He was back, he's shooting, but he's going try to get in the barbershop.
To try to get to safety?
Right, try to get to safety.
Can you use this marker and just draw a big circle to the area that Nut ran to after the shooting?
Right here.
Did he ever make it inside the barbershop?
He showing he trying to open up, but somebody locked the door.
Now, did you ever did any medical personnel ever come out to treat you that night?
I went to Grady. Basically everybody met up at Grady. I seen when they rushed Nut through the hospital. Like, I was awoke. I seen when they brought him through.
You were already at Grady?
Yeah. I seen when they were pushing him through.
And did you get there via an ambulance?
Yes, sir.
How long were you, or did you have to stay there sometime?
Yeah, I had stayed there probably like a week.
Now, Mr. Hendricks, I'm also gonna publish what's already been admitted as 223 Yankee. Another photograph's gonna pop up on that same screen. Do you recognize what that is, Mr. Hendricks?
Phone look like my phone.
It looks like your phone?
Yeah.
Did you lose your phone?
Yes.
I'm gonna also show you what's already been admitted as 216 Yankee. Another photograph is gonna come up. Do you recognize that phone?
I don't know whose phone that is.
Now, after you got out of the hospital, did you still hang out or frequent the McDaniel area?
I think I had went on my baby mama house.
So, Mr. Hendricks, after the shooting happened, did anyone else fire off any shots?
That other one shot. He shot about 3 or 4 times. Probably about 5 at the most. Tried to bag him up. But when he shot, that made them pull off though. That made them move.
It made the car keep moving?
Yeah, when he started shooting back, they thought he probably wasn't gonna shoot back.
So, you're talking about after the shots in the.
Right. So when they got to shooting, Nut shooting too, but when he started shooting back, that what made them speed off.
After they shot the automatic fire at him. Mr. Hendricks,
Hold on, I'm gonna overrule the objection. Go ahead.
you can answer.
Objection, not enough.
I sustain that one now.
Mr. Hendricks, did you testify about what a chopper was?
Yes,
Did you say it was a machine gun?
yes.
I apologize, I said automatic weapon is after you heard the machine gun fire, you said about 100 rounds, was it after that you're saying Donald Thomas fired back?
Like when they shot, he started shooting too. That what made him speed off fast. So when they shoot, he had to shoot too, cause he don't have a gun on.
After they shot at him?
Right, they shot first.
Hold on. Hold on. Ms. Westmoreland, what was the base for your objection? Mr. Shart, asked and answered. Mr. Shart, what's the base?
Same thing.
Okay, both objections are overruled.
Thank you, Mr. Hendricks. State passes the witness.
All right, cross. Let's see, Mr. Weinstein, Mr. Matthews. All right, Mr. Williams, Ms. Westmoreland, Mr. Sharp.
Good afternoon, Mr. Hendricks. My name is Max Sharp. Nice to meet you. Just want to make sure I understand. You saw the pictures of the parking lot that the state presented, correct?
Yes,
Okay, where Donovan Thomas's truck was, correct?
yes,
Okay. And you were out there for a period of time before any shooting occurred.
Yes.
Okay, and how long, to your recollection, were you out there with Donovan Thomas and other people
We was out there about an hour or two together.
in that parking lot?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And during that hour or two, did anyone go into the barber shops, and did you go get your hair cut during that hour or two?
It was about 20, 30 of us out there waiting on a haircut that night.
Okay. To your recollection, that during that hour and two, did you go into either of the barber shops to get a haircut?
I ain't make it in there. I told you about 20, 30 folks out there waiting on the haircut. You got folks on the outside, and you got the barbershop packed in the inside too.
I understand. To your recollection, in that hour or two, did Donovan Thomas go into either barbershop to get his haircut?
I think, to be honest, I think he made it in there, and he just came back out and chilled.
Okay. When he came back out and chilled, how long after he came back out, to your words, chill, how much time passed before any shooting occurred?
For about 30 minutes.
Okay. So,
It probably wasn't even 30 minutes. Like, it was a call. Somebody was working the phone.
well, let me ask you this. When the shooting occurred, Mr. Thomas was not walking out either of the barbershops when the shooting occurred.
He was on the lot. He was on the lot. That's why I said it was a call. Somebody made a call.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. You said, correct me if I misheard you. Once the shooting started, Mr. Thomas started shooting.
They shot first.
Okay. Now, when you say they shot first, you're talking about from a car?
Right.
Okay. That car, your recollection, your testimony, did that car stop in the road?
Like when they first came from the railroad track, when they got right up by Mr. George, right there in the first little cut, it's an empty building right there. That Mr. George shot right there. We standing right there. They shot bow, bow, bow like a handgun. As soon as they got right there in front of that, they let all the wrong shots go.
Oh, okay. But did the car stop?
Yeah, it stopped. It stopped about a second or two.
Okay.
I ain't gonna say a second, probably about 20 seconds. Then they let all the shots at me.
The car stopped, your testimony is the car stopped for 20 seconds and that would have been in front of the barbershop?
Not exactly like in the parking lot. That wasn't that one.
In between the two barbershops?
Right.
The car stopped for 20 seconds. Okay. And Mr. Thomas, I understand that you're saying shots were already fired, but Mr. Thomas started firing shots as well.
After they shot first.
I understand. Do you know what kind of gun Mr. Thomas was shooting?
He probably had a 9.
Do you know that for a fact, or are you speculating? You said he probably had a 9, so
I seen it. It was a handgun.
Okay. To your recollection, were any of the other individuals that were out in that parking lot with you and Mr. Thomas, did any of those other individuals shoot?
No, sir.
Okay. I don't have any further questions. Thank you.
Mr. Adams.
Come on, please, Judge.
Yes, sir.
John, can I ask one more question?
As long as it's just one. It's not more.
Mr. Hendricks, I'm going to ask one more question. Do you know what happened to the gun that Mr. Thomas had?
No,
He was
sir.
shooting?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, I have no questions.
All right. Anyone I missed? Oh, Mr. Matthews, sorry. Go right ahead, sir.
Good afternoon, sir. Just one or two questions. Did you see a gun out there that I like to refer to as a big pistol, kind of large, black, with, look like it may have a handle.
Oh, sir.
Did you see that gun?
Objection, Your Honor.
Oh, sir.
What's the basis?
There's no facts and evidence of that.
I just asked him, did he see it?
Only big gun I seen.
Wait, just wait a second. I'll sustain the question as to form. You might be able to rephrase, sir.
You were out there for some time in this.
You asked me, did I see a big pistol? Only big gun I seen when they came out that Bonneville at the Chief. That's the only big gun I seen.
Okay. That's all I have. Thank you.
All right. Ms. Weinstein.
Good afternoon.
How you doing?
I'm doing well. My name is Doug Weinstein. I'm Mr. Hendrick's attorney. So you testified that the car stopped for about 20 seconds, correct?
Yes, sir.
What's your degree of certainty that it would stop for around 20 seconds?
It paused. The car just stopped where it was going. They already know what they target was.
I understand. How certain are you of that?
I was standing right there.
Okay. Is that the same degree of certainty you have with the respect to you're saying that Mr. Thomas shot back?
They shot first.
I understand they shot first. Are you just as certain that Mr. Thomas shot back as you are that it paused for around 20 seconds?
Just put it like that. When they shot him first, he got a chance to shoot his gun too. So when he's showing as he's spraying blood up.
Because you're standing right there, correct?
Yeah, I'm right there. He's showing as he's spraying blood up. He getting his shots off too.
Okay. Is that your same degree of certainty that it was a Pontiac?
It was a Bonneville.
Okay. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you. No more questions.
All right.
Bonneville.
All
Yeah.
right. Say you have any redirect?
No, Your Honor.
All right. May Mr. Henry be permanently or temporarily excused the witness?
Mr. Hendrick said he's partly excused, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Hendricks, sir, thank you for your patience with us. I'm going to permanently excuse you as a witness. You don't have to come back. And just don't discuss your testimony with anybody except the attorneys in this case, okay?
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. All right, call your next witness.
Yes, sir. They call Dr. Michael Heninger.
All right, summon Dr. Heninger, please. Dr. Heninger, good afternoon, sir. Sir, if you would please approach the witness stand. Once you get there, if you'd be so kind to turn and face Sergeant Ingram and be sworn as a witness before you sit down.
Yes. Okay. So my name is Dr. Michael Heninger, and it's spelled Michael and then Heninger.
Good afternoon, Dr. Heninger. How are you?
Fine.
Are you currently employed?
I am retired, and I have kind of part-time job doing a little bit of what I've always done.
Okay. So let's first talk about your part-time job. Where's your part-time job?
Okay, my part-time job is over at the cab, at the DeKalb County Medical Examiner's office, and I work about maybe 7 days a month.
And how long have you been with the DeKalb County Medical Examiner's office?
Since I retired from the Fulton County Medical Examiner's office, which was in January of 2023.
And when you retired from the Fulton County Medical Examiner's office, how long had you worked at the Fulton County Medical Examiner's office?
I started in 1995 in July, and so it was about 27-something years.
And if you could tell the jury about the responsibilities of the Fulton County Medical Examiner's office.
Okay, so the medical examiner is a government agency. It's fairly small, and we are charged with investigating suspicious deaths or violent deaths. And so we have a process and a team that does that. It's about 40 people that work there. This this team includes investigators who go out and collect information. And some of them are cross-trained, either, we're police investigators and now work for us, or, there's a lot of overlap. There are physicians like myself who conduct autopsies and other examinations on the remains of deceased individuals. And then we have a lot of administrative people that help us prepare the information that we gather. And then the biggest part of this is sharing that information with interested parties, which one of the top of the list of that is the attorneys, the prosecuting attorneys and the defense attorneys. Then also there's family members that are interested in this information, or life insurance companies, or public health departments. So all that information has to be shared. So that's what my role in that. I was a physician, and I did the examinations and then also reviewed all that information and summarized that into generating a cause of death and a manner of death for the death certificate.
And if you could tell the jury, what is forensic pathology?
Okay, forensic pathology is the subspecialty of medicine that I practice. It is a branch of the specialty of general pathology. General pathology is it's kind of a visual type of specialty, and it's basically looking at tissues and determining diseases or injuries. And in the general pathologists work in hospitals, and they're looking at tissue, often under the microscope, to see if it's cancer or not, or if it's inflammation, or diagnosing diseases. The forensic part of that, forensic means of interest to the public or the court systems. So forensic pathologists are involved in this kind of pathology. It's likely to come to court. And so we do autopsies and we investigate violent deaths, homicides, suicides, traffics, overdoses, drownings, any kind of non-natural death. And we also get involved in some natural deaths, especially in younger people where the death's unexpected and they don't really know what's happening. So that's and it's a small specialty. It's probably 500 people doing this in the United States, and almost all of us work for government, county or state governments.
And if you could tell the jury about your educational background training in the field of forensic pathology.
Yes. Okay, I started out at Utah State University, and I was a biology major, and I received a Bachelor of Science degree in biology. Then I went to medical school at the University of Utah, and I received an MD degree. Then I went into the military, and I went into an internship in internal medicine at Keesler Air Force Base in Biloxi, Mississippi. And then I spent a few years practicing primary care medicine at the same place. And then I went back to Utah, and I did a 4-year residency in pathology, general pathology. And then I did a 1-year fellowship in forensic pathology. And that was, the fellowship was up in Minneapolis, Minnesota, the Hennepin, and Hennepin, spelled Hennepin. They usually ask me anyway. So at Hennepin County and in Minneapolis, I did a 1-year fellowship. And then I came to Atlanta and I started working for Fulton County Medical Examiner's Office in 1995.
And over the course of your career, how many autopsies have you performed?
I lost track of years ago. The Fulton County was not like the busiest place in the country. We had a lot of teaching duties and things. So I averaged about 250 a year while I worked there, which is people to do more than that. So if you multiply that out by 27 years, it's past 6,000, maybe 7,000, something like that.
And have you been qualified as an expert in the state of Georgia?
Yes.
And do you know how many times you've been qualified as an expert in the state of Georgia?
No, hundreds of times. And I've lost track since I retired. It's over 30 times since I retired.
Jerron, this time the state would like to tender Dr. Michael Heninger as an expert in forensic pathology.
Anybody wish to award Dr. Hendrick or have any objection? All right, the court will designate Dr. Hendrick as an expert in the area of forensic pathology.
Thank you. Dr. Hendrick, can you please tell the jury what does it mean when we talk about the manner of death?
Okay, manner of death. that word manner has a general usage, which everybody knows, but we've kind of hijacked that meaning. Okay, and so for us, in our little field, manner of death is where we look at a case of death that we've investigated. We look at the autopsy findings, and we look at the circumstances, whatever information we have, and we attempt to put it into one of 4 categories. This is mostly for public health reasons, but it's also of extreme interest to the court system. Okay, the 4 categories are natural deaths, which are due to things inside of your body that stop working, accidental deaths, which are due to things outside of your body, an environment that harm it or damage it, kind of unforeseen. Suicides, which are self-inflicted injuries that cause death. And homicides, which are injuries that one person inflicts on another to cause their death. And then we have a 5th category, which is undetermined, which is when we have competing, contradictory information or whatever. Okay, so when we say what is the manner of death, we're saying one of those 5 things. And we put it in that category.
And what about the term cause of death? What does that mean?
Cause of death is more kind of what you would think. It's basically what derangement or what changes in the body cause it to stop functioning so that it can continue to function and persist and live. And so cause of death, it's useful to think of that as like chapters in medical textbooks or subchapters like heart attack or asthma or pneumonia. And if you look into the forensic textbooks, it's going to be things like gunshot wounds or stab wounds, blunt trauma, drownings, drug overdoses. Those will be causes of death.
And in your position as the medical examiner, have you heard of the term soot and stippling?
Yes, I have.
If you can tell the jury what's soot, what's stippling as it relates to what you do.
Okay, so soot and stippling refer to findings that you see on a body when there's a gunshot wound. Okay, and there's 3 themes that come out of a gun, maybe more, but when it's fired, obviously a bullet comes out, okay, and flames and things like that. But behind the bullet, there's still some of the powder that's not burned, and it comes out as little flecks about the size of a head of a pin, and they can travel for a few feet, and they can have pretty high velocity when they first leave the gun. If those little particles of unburnt powder strike the skin, they create these little injuries that look like pinpricks. So they're called stippling. And then after the powder's burned, it creates smoke and basically that can be deposit on the skin. That's kind of like like the stuff you might see if you're around a campfire or something. And that's easy to come off. It doesn't stay there very easily, and it's hard to find. So the stippling does not wash away. In fact, after a day or 2, if the person survives, it starts to heal and it's even easier to see. So those are 2 things. Now, the reason those are of interest to us is because this doesn't go very far away from the gun. And it depends on the gun and ammunition, but it may only be probably on average 3 or 4 feet, maybe a little bit more on certain guns. So if you don't have any of that material on a person, then you can say that the gun is further away than that. If you do have that, then you're pretty sure it's closer. And like everything, it's not perfect. There are times when you can be closer, but not have the sort of stippling, like if there's intervening clothing or things like that. But it's a tool to try and figure out how close was the muzzle of the gun from the person. And it's not perfect. I can't say 100 feet instead of 150 feet or 1 foot instead of 5 feet. I mean, it's not that accurate, but you can kind of put it in 2 boxes, where close or further away. And then this is probably not as relevant, but if it's contact, that also has features that you can see because it's all concentrated right there. Same process, but it's in 1 spot instead of scattered. So those are the 3 categories.
Thank you. And speaking about gunshot wounds, when you are categorizing gunshot wounds, Can you tell the jury about the difference between a perforating gunshot wound and a penetrating gunshot wound?
Okay, so this is another instance. We've taken two words that mean similar things and decided to define them as meaning two things, okay? So each gunshot wound consists of an entrance wound where the bullet goes in, a pathway where it goes through the tissue, and then an exit wound, or if the bullet doesn't leave the body, a bullet. Okay, so and the ones that have an entrance, pathway, and exit, okay, those are called perforating gunshot wounds. Those that have an entrance, pathway, and a bullet are called penetrating.
Okay.
And they're easily confused.
And when you say they're easily confused, why?
It's just easy to, I mix them up myself when I'll be talking and realize I said that wrong. The two words are similar. So, but they're useful because they tell you where they're really useful. Is when you start looking at a case and you got a bunch of holes, you don't know if they're entrances or exits. So you got to figure out the entrances and exits. So then that's where they get to be more useful. But once you get to the end of the case, you got this all figured out, then they are what they are.
When you perform autopsy, do you document your findings?
Yes, I do.
And how do you document your findings?
Two ways. Number one, we have a photographer. We take pictures of many things, probably too many pictures in some cases. And then number two, the way I do this, I have a dictation device and I talk into it as I'm doing the case. I just say what I can see as I'm going through it. And then that gets transcribed. And then I get a report that I have to then sort it out and put it in the format, make it make sense. So that autopsy report is also very important. The two complement each other. There's some things that are better described in a report, some things that are better preserved as photography, and they also confirm and bolster each other, the information.
I want to direct your attention to Sunday, January 11th, 2015, at approximately 8:45 a.m. Did you have the occasion to perform an autopsy on a Donovan Thomas Jr.?
Yes, I did.
And do you recall how old he was?
Could I refer to my report, which
Permission to approach, Your Honor?
You may. I assume it's already been shown to defense counsel.
Yes, Your Honor. I'm showing what's been marked as State's Exhibit 322Y, which has been shown to defense counsel. If you take a moment and review that document.
Okay.
Is State's Exhibit 322Y a copy of your report?
Yes, it is.
And will looking at a copy of your report help you in your testimony today?
Yes, it would.
And does that appear to be a fair, accurate copy of your full report?
Yes.
Your Honor, this time the state would like to tender State's Exhibit 322Y into evidence for the record.
Counsel, is there any objection, not dealing with any issues that we'll take up later, but any other objections is the 322 Yankee?
Okay.
All right. 322 Yankee is admitted.
How old was he?
Okay, we were told he's 25 years old. Oh, excuse me, 26 years old.
And how tall was he?
He is okay. We measured him at 75 inches, which is 6'3", and he weighed 332 pounds.
And did you document his autopsy in the same manner that you just discussed with photography?
Yes, I did.
Your Honor, permission to approach?
You may.
And I'm showing Dr. Heninger what's been given to defense counsel as State's Exhibits 299 through State's Exhibit 321. Dr. Heninger, you can take a moment and look at those exhibits, tell me if you recognize State's Exhibit 299, Yankee, through 321, Yankee. 299.
299. Okay. Okay, yes, I recognize these.
And how do you recognize 299 Yankee through 321 Yankee?
Okay, so almost all of them are numbered with an accession number just associated with this case. There are also pictures I looked at in preparation for this trial very recently. Not, this 215s, several years ago, but I've looked at these several times in just the last few days and weeks, and I recognize them.
And do they appear to be fair and accurate depictions of the autopsy that you conducted on January 11, 2015?
Yes,
And we're looking at those pictures assist you in your testimony today about the injury sustained to Mr. Donovan Thomas.
they would greatly assist me.
You're right. This time to say what I the tender states exhibit 299 through 321 Yankee into evidence.
Any further objection to states 299 Yankee through 321 Yankee?
Okay. Yeah. On behalf of Mr. Williams.
Okay. All right, Mr. Shard, do you have a specific objection? All right, sir, so noted. It's discontinuing. All right. Madam?
Once you finish, permission to approach.
All right. They're admitted and may be published as you see fit. That's 299 Yankee through 321 Yankee. All right, did you wish to approach?
Yes, please.
All right. Dr. Heninger, we're going to take a comfort break. So about 10 minutes, sir. Okay? All right. Ladies and gentlemen, comfort break, 10 minutes. All right? All rise. All right, ladies and gentlemen, our jury has left us 10 minutes. We're in recess.
admitted as State's Exhibit 299 Yankee. Now, when we talk about 299 Yankee, is this one of the shirts that came with Mr. Thomas in that bag that you just referenced?
Yes, it is.
Now, looking at 299 Yankee, there's a number at the bottom, 15-0062. Is there a significance about that number?
Okay, that's our accession number. So that's just for our office's use. The police and other people don't use this. But this is basically his unique number. So everything that we do with him, it's going to have that number on it, so we can keep it straight from other cases.
And how do you come up with that number?
Okay, so the 15 is from 2015. And on January 1st, the phone rings, first case of the year, it's 0001. And then 2 and 3 and 4. So by the 11th, this is the 62nd case that we've looked into. And so that's its number. It just goes through the year to the end of the year.
Now, looking at State's Exhibit 299 Yankee, there is what appears to be a red arrow. What was that meant to indicate or show?
Okay, there is if you look at that arrow, does this, let me see.
Bottom left. To the left.
I've done this before, but I don't.
Sure.
There.
There you go.
Okay. Okay, so this allows me to touch the screen. Okay, there's this arrow right here, this little red arrow. Okay, let's see, there's a way to,
So there should be a trash can.
right there. Okay, so now there's another, this is the same shirt. This shirt is this is the back of the shirt that we're looking at. It's been cut in like here. Okay, and that's what you think about when you go to the emergency room and they're gonna take people's clothes off in like seconds, you know, when they're in trouble. And so they're gonna cut in front. Okay, so this is the back of the shirt. So think about the back of my shirt. This is the left side, the back of the shirt. And there are 2 holes right here, but they're in kind of the axle area or the armpit area where you imagine clothing it can be folded. So, you know, if you have one bullet going through, it might go through 2 places. Okay. But there are 2 holes over there in the left part of his shirt.
Now looking at 301 Yankee.
Okay.
Is this the front of that same shirt?
Yeah, so you can see the front, and you see where it's cut right here. And you can see over here on the left, the holes aren't as evident there, but it's kind of this reddish color. There's blood on this shirt also. And it's hard to see, but that's kind of over there on the left side near where those other holes were.
Looking at 302 Yankee. What, if anything, was significant with 302 Yankee?
I think it's the back of, no, it's not. It's
Show 303 Yankee?
yeah. Okay, this is a close, you know, this is the other shirt. There were 2 shirts, and they're both black. This is the other shirt, and so the other shirt is similar to the first. It's got holes on the left axilla.
And do you know which shirt he had on over the other at this point?
I don't.
Now I want to look at State's Exhibit 304 Yankee. When we're looking at State's Exhibit 304 Yankee, describe to the jury what we're looking at.
Okay, so after the body bag is opened, this is moments after the body bag was opened, and we take a picture. This kind of shows us where we start. Okay, so I can see there's medical intervention. There's tubes in his mouth. There's some incisions on him that are closed up. You know, other devices. This scene on his arm is just a sheet wrapped up on his arm. And there's no clothing. So he didn't, if he had died where he was at the scene of where this happened, not taken to the hospital, they would leave the clothing on. So that kind of all fits together, tells me where to start. These medical intervention things are very important because they can mimic injuries. So it's good to know, they're there, be familiar with typical ones.
And what are some of the medical interventions? You talked about the face. What other medical interventions?
Okay, there's this incision that goes like this, comes across his chest. And that is for what's called a thoracotomy, or your thorax, going into the thorax. And that they open that up so they can kind of reach in and grab the heart and kind of squeeze it and try and get it to keep beating. Buy them a few more minutes so they get blood going. It could also be something they go in to try and fix anything they could see in there. There's another incision that goes vertically along here. And that's if they've got any kind of indication that there might be injuries in the abdomen. So they open that up and try and correct any injuries there. There was the ones I mentioned on his face. At least 2 tubes there, one for breathing, one into his stomach to take any stomach contents out. There's this right here is a oxygen monitor for his fingers, how much oxygen in his blood. And I think it's just hooked onto the rest of that. And those are the ones you can see in the picture. I have like 10 of them listed on here.
Now, after you open up the bag and you see the medical intervention, what do you do next?
Okay, well, we kind of, there's
Should we go 305?
oops.
305.
Okay, so it's kind of a process. You start kind of on the outside and work in. So you start with the clothing and then the medical intervention. Then you look at the body, the surface of the body. You're looking for trace evidence. You're looking for where the injuries, looking for blood patterns, because the next step, you're going to wash the body. So you want to not have lost any information from doing that. So you inspect it, make sure there's no really useful information from that. And then we wash the body. And then we examine it again, external surface. And we look for injuries, and we look for, disease processes, whatever we can see. So that's the first part of it. Second part is we open up the body and in our standard excisions, and we look at the organs inside of the body, and then we take them out and we see which organs are damaged, which was, diseases.
And did everything you just testified to, did you do that in this case?
Yes.
Now looking at State's Exhibit 306, Yankee, what's the purpose of this picture here?
This is the identification photo. Okay, we take a picture of his face, and it's got that accession number. And the real purpose of this is to kind of keep in mind, this is not just a project. He's a human being. This personalizes the case for us. This is who he is. It's like his picture. And sometimes it's used for identification, but there's not always.
Now, earlier you talked about thieves. How?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have a breaking news development in the trial. I don't know what's wrong with my voice. Do re mi fa la si do. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a breaking news development in the Trump trial that has taken place in New York. The jury has reached a verdict. I'm going to swing into New York City right now, and we're going to wait for the jury for the verdict to be announced. So stand by, ladies and gentlemen. This is a breaking news development. Former President Donald Trump was facing 34 felony counts as it relates to hush money payments to Stormy Daniels and the book record keeping that resulted in these charges being brought by the Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg. This is a breaking news development. We are going to have the verdict shortly. I'm going to bring you guys into there's no pool camera in the courtroom, but we're going to bring you inside, or at least outside, when the verdict is announced. So stand by. I know we're watching YSL, but this is a breaking news development. If he is found guilty in this criminal case, he'll be the first president of the United States, former president of the United States, has been found guilty of a criminal charge. So this is breaking news. Stand by, stand by, stand by. We're going to New York. Stand by. We're going to bring camera into New York.
How many entrance wounds did you find on the body?
I found one, or not one.
Stand by. We
I found
the
two entrance
shot.
wounds
Stand
that
by.
were clearly entrance wounds.
We're gonna look at State's Exhibit 307 Yankee. Looking at State's Exhibit 307 Yankee, what is being depicted in 307 Yankee?
Okay, this is his back. Okay, he's kind of rolled up on the table. And there's this little tag right here. This tag is got 2 inches, so it's 2 inches long. It's a ruler, and it's also got the accession number on it. Right above that tag is one of the entrance wounds. Okay, and you can see it's on kind of the left lumbar back, back here, this part of the back. There are some artifacts in here that are distracting and don't mean anything. There's these, you can see these round holes here.
Okay, this is a scene outside the Manhattan Criminal Courthouse. And as you can see, you have heavy police presence, both at the outside of the courthouse, as well as at the entrance of the doorway leading into the courtroom. Stand by. We will have a verdict shortly. We're going to wait for the shot coming from wherever the verdict is. Okay, as you can see, this is the staging area for the media Oh, it does look like this is definitely the staging area for the media. And I've seen this scene many times in my career, just before a verdict. The last time I seen a scene this large was in New York City for the federal trial of Robert Sylvester Kelly. This trial right here is significant because we thought that the Fulton County District Attorney's Office would have had their trial on first, but this is a significant development in the case. And we will know once the jurors come back in the courtroom, what is the decision? Will former President Donald Trump be found guilty of any one of these charges? Because if so, the Judge Merchant, who's presiding over this case, does have the power to sentence him for these charges. The question is, will the jury find him guilty? And if so, what will be the judge's next move? This is a political season. Former President Trump is actually campaigning right now. So what do you think the significance of this will mean? Will former President Donald Trump be found innocent or found guilty? He only needs one person that don't believe these charges, and he will be acquitted. But if he gets a unanimous or even found guilty on one of the counts, because these are multiple counts, this is significant. So we're going to see. I don't know. Jury's entering the courtroom. Let's go. Let's see what's happening. Stand by. Stand by. Stand by. Stand by. We are waiting for the verdict to be read. Someone pointed out something very important. This is a trial. This was a trial involving a former president. This case hasn't been going on for a month, and we have a verdict today. Think about this. The YSL trial is in day 83, and we are nowhere near a conclusion to the trial. Think about that. This is a former U.S. president with 34 counts, criminal counts. And this jury has the case for less than a month. Unbelievable. And there's a heavy presence outside the courthouse. Staging area 100, I believe 100 Center Street. Let me get attorney Aikisha El Shabazz. Stand by. Ladies and gentlemen, guilty on all one is watching this tweeting this all over. Donald Trump, former president, current candidate, front runner for the Republican Party, who is on the campaign trail that has to be put on hold because right now he's a felon. He has the Secret Service detail. Well, what does that look like? Because he has to be processed now. He has to be processed now. I am not surprised that the people of New York City, at least this part of the city, is acting out. We don't know how far this will go. This is crazy. This is crazy. I'm going to drop some links, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to get some lawyers in here. We got to talk about this. We got to talk about this. This is breaking news. This is the biggest story in the nation. I thought it would happen in Georgia, but it happened in New York. So I don't know what it's going to look like in these other jurisdictions. We got a federal case that the justices are considering immunity. We have the case involving the election interference in Georgia, and then we have the Florida case of documents having these documents, these classified documents in his possession. So this is significant. Going to any other trial with a conviction, 34 counts, doesn't look good. It really doesn't look good. Stand by, ladies and gentlemen. Stand by. Stand by, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to bring some attorneys up. We're going to talk about this conviction. Stand by. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, as I wait for the attorneys to join the live, we are just taking this in right now. We are taking this in. This is something that is historic. This is historic. We see to the right the attorneys are outside, some not just attorneys, but we see some of this Donald Trump supporters. I see Stephen Miller, one of Donald Trump's former campaign. But you see Stephen Miller in the background. What appears to be Steve. There go Donald Trump right here. Ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Here we go. Here we go.
This was a disgrace.
Donald Trump just got convicted.
I'm
live. I sent you the link. Come
Trial
here.
by a conflicted judge.
I'm playing
who was
now. I
corrupt.
can't. I just go look at the live.
It's a rigged trial, a disgrace. They wouldn't give us a venue change. We were at 5% or 6% in this district, in this area. This was a rigged, disgraceful trial. The real verdict is going to be November 5th by the people. And they know what happened here, and everybody knows what happened here. You have a Soros-backed DA, and the whole thing. We didn't do a thing wrong. I'm a very innocent man, and it's okay. I'm fighting for our country. I'm fighting for our Constitution. Our whole country is being rigged right now. This was done by the Biden administration in order to wound or hurt an opponent, a political opponent. And I think it's just a disgrace. And we'll keep fighting. We'll fight till the end and we'll win because our country's gone to hell. We don't have the same country anymore. We have a divided mess. We're a nation in decline, serious decline. Millions and millions of people pouring into our country right now from prisons and from mental institutions, terrorists, and they're taking over our country. We have a country that's in big trouble. But this was a rigged decision right from day one with a conflicted judge who should have never been allowed to try this case, never. And we will fight for our Constitution. This is long from over. Thank you very much.
Why should voters vote for a convicted felon?
Are you going to talk about
You believe in the rule of law?
You trust the jury?
Are you
Well, there you have it. He says he's not going down without a fight. He says that they're immigrants that they should be focusing on. There are people in prison. They're taking over the country. The Biden administration is responsible for this. The judge was wrong for this. He's not going down without a fight. He's going to be sentenced in July. Ladies and gentlemen, former President Donald Trump has told you how he feels. This was a rigged trial. In his opinion, it should have never happened. I might be a little inclined to agree with him. Not right now, but again, this is the scene outside the courthouse. This is incredible. This is incredible. This is incredible. Yes, we came through before CNN, but now listen, those are my people over there too. Those are my people over there. Some of them. Ladies and gentlemen, Waiting for my, I had to get people at the last minute, so stand by. Stand by. Hold on, ladies and gentlemen. We have, we have the legendary, the legendary Delma Anderson, Attorney Anderson. What the heck is
Let me turn
happening?
this around.
What is happening? What is happening? The scene outside is crazy. Former President Donald Trump has been convicted on all counts in New York. What does this mean as a former prosecutor? Talk to the people, please.
Well, it means that the jury believed beyond a reasonable doubt that he was guilty of each count that the state had to prove. So each count has its own punishment range. Each count has its own fine range. So they looked at the evidence. They remembered the testimony. The one thing I tell people, whenever jurors ask to rehear evidence or testimony, that means that they are actively working. And this particular jury was back there working through one of, in my opinion, is a very exhausting case because you are telling them to convict a former president.
A former president who is running for the next the highest office in the land right now. He is the front runner of the Republican Party. What does this do to his campaign? Is this going to galvanize the people? What do you think is what's going to happen?
Well, it's going to do one or two things. It's going to bring his base even closer to him, the base that is so loyal to him, or they're going to start figuring out, okay, this is not our leader. These are not the morals or values that we stand for, and it's time for us to jump off the ship.
Wow. Okay, so I posed a question. He has pending cases in 3 different other jurisdictions: DC, Atlanta, and Florida.
Mhm.
How hard will it be for him in each one of those respective cases to get a fair trial, being a convicted felon?
Um, I think the one thing that I've seen is jurors are very they feel compelled to follow the law when it comes to individuals who are innocent until proven guilty. So they're going to give that same deference to him, even as a convicted felon, for him to be proven guilty. And they're going to presume that he's innocent until then. So I think that he will still have the ability to get a fair trial.
He went in this trial with the knowledge that it could end up in the verdict that he received. Now,
Mhm.
do you think there was a plea or offer at any point in time? And if so, why would he not accept a plea deal to avoid something like this?
Um, because one, he didn't have a leg to stand on to negotiate anything. He didn't have a leg to stand on to negotiate. Therefore, the only thing he had was the fight, to put up a fight. So that's what I feel. I feel they may have went to the negotiation table, it may have broken down, but he had nothing to give them in order for them to come up off this case, other than him pleading guilty.
Gerald, you are the head of the NAACP in Atlanta. This is significant, in my opinion, for the trial that is going to happen in Atlanta. There's currently in pre-trial status right now. What do you think is going to be the strategy for him moving forward on the campaign trail?
Well, hopefully, and again, I'm speaking as a criminal defense attorney and not in my capacity as the president
Yes,
of
sir.
the Georgia State Conference, but hopefully his attorneys will be able to convince him not to speak about this case. And of course, he just gave a press conference where he spoke about this case, but he has a sentencing in front of this judge on 34 counts, and the judge has broad discretion on how to sentence. And typically when you're convicted of 34 counts, you're looking at a substantial prison time. And so, I know he's running for president and that's his prerogative to run for president. But right now, his concern should be his freedom and whether or not he spends a considerable amount of time in prison in the state of New York. So, as an attorney, my advice would be for him to remain silent, or at least try to put the best character forward, moving forward until July when there's sentencing. He's lucky because in most cases like this, especially at the 5 o'clock hour and you get a verdict, they sentence the same day.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
I mean,
and
I don't
it's important that you
understand
said
why.
that.
Yeah, I don't understand why they didn't sentence him today.
Yeah.
Well, Attorney Shabazz just was on a phone call, and she's supposed to join us as well. She's in New York. She's actually a former prosecutor as well. She said that he has to do a whole pre-sentencing. They have to, check his background. But I think the Secret Service did a good job checking his background. Yeah. And I don't think that's going to be. I mean, still, whoever's checking his background, better have a top secret clearance. With that said, he also can appeal this case. Appeal will delay the sentence, or will
if he's granted an appeal bond, and those are very rare. Now, do I think he's probably going to get an appeal bond? Possibly, and then it go up to New York is the appellate court, and then the Supreme Court, or something like that. Appellate division. Right. Yeah, they have different names in New York. But what my concern would be at this point is in the Fulton County case, this is now a similar transaction. And so they can file notice to bring this in as a similar transaction for the RICO conspiracy.
Wow. I didn't even think about that.
And so he faces far greater exposure now in that case, as well as the federal cases. And so, appealing to the New York Court of Appeals and then the New York Supreme Court. And then if he's not successful, then he can move into the federal system. But he has a long road to hoe at this point because he is in fact a convicted felon. And now the presumptions are not in his favor.
You just made a good point, Joe. When it gets to the federal system, he'll likely, if he prevails in the election, and he controls the Justice Department, so to speak, indirectly, because he appoints the Attorney General, and the Attorney General will have the duty of, he has a lot of power once he's in office, a lot of power.
That's if he's in office, but that's for federal issues. He's been convicted in state court. So a pardon would only, and correct me if I'm wrong on New York law, would only come from the governor. In Georgia, the pardon can only come from the Board of Pardons and Paroles, which is a separate entity from the governor. So regardless of whatever federal power he has, the thing he loves to talk about so much is, the power being vested in the states. Well, this particular power is vested in the states. And so it's going to be a very difficult road to get a pardon. There may be an appealable issue here, and that would be, his hope if I was his attorney, appealable issue. But my biggest issue with the whole thing is, what was the defense? I kept hearing in media that they were hoping for one person could help him. No, that's a mistrial. That's not an acquittal. And so one person, and in a 11-hour, deliberation with 34 counts, in the RICO case that I was involved, it took 7 days. For so many other cases, I think the Weinstein case was a week.
Right.
This was less than it was like a day and some change.
Thelma, tell me, if this guy is, former president, now convicted.
Well, that's convicted felon.
Convicted felon. What is the security risk of him getting into the White House with 34 convictions? Isn't that like a real security risk for someone to be elected with 34 felonies?
Do we not recall this man having a nuclear button and making threats to releasing all of the information? Do we not recall this man holding on to classified information, saying that he was just moving it to his residence and he stored it properly? This man is not fit to be president of he wasn't fit then. He's definitely not fit now. And if people don't wake up, My fear is that this man will get reelected because people are upset with Biden. And Biden is Biden. He hasn't been the best, but can we afford to have the worst again?
Good point. You make a very good point there. Gerald, now when you, first of all, congratulations because you're a new father,
Yeah, new daddy.
you new daddy. When, you know, as your child grows and your children, you have two children, as they grow and they see stuff like this happen, what kind of conversations do you have with them about, well, the older one, the one that got that brand new shiny car? What kind of conversations do you have with your daughter when she sees something like this? You know, we grew up, I've never seen this in my entire life. And I grew up when just after one of the presidents was assassinated. So what kind of conversations do you have?
This is a teachable moment in history that no one's above the law. And so, you know, as a practicing, you know, criminal defense attorney, civil rights attorney, as a officer of the court, this is one of those moments where the system is showing how the system works. And it's three co-equal branches. And, you know, former President Trump has to understand we're a democracy for a reason. We're not a monarchy. And the people have spoken. These were 12 citizens from the state of New York. It wasn't the it wasn't the president. It wasn't the attorney general. It wasn't the Democratic Party. And again, as the president of the NAACP, we're nonpartisan, but we do talk about justice issues. This was the people. This was the demos. And they listened to evidence for 5 weeks. They listened to witnesses. And, you know, I was concerned for him when I heard the jury want to hear the evidence from Mr. Cohen again and from David Pecker. I knew where this was going. They were corroborating evidence. And then for them to say, Judge, we have a verdict, but we haven't filled out the forms yet. I already knew what that was. And so for Mr. Trump and his surrogates, they need to be putting forward a campaign of good character to convince this judge to not sentence him to prison for a very, very, very long time. You know, I haven't done the numbers on the counts, but again, even if it's 1 to 5 on these and you got 34 counts, 34 independent acts. Now, some of them may merge, but 34 independent acts, that's a long period of time. And for a man of his advanced age, and I know age is playing a big role in the, you know, presidential election, but age plays a big role in the penal system too. They need to be building that case. They need to stay off of Fox News, stay off of Newsmax, and come into the reality that a jury of his peers in New York convicted him of 34 counts.
As I listened to the verdict, I thought about Arizona State Attorney. She had her agent serve Rudy Giuliani, on his birthday. He's probably looking at this now, and I'm sure all the defendants that have got caught in the web of the Trump world are wondering, what are they going to do? How are they going to? Because, you know, he's allegedly the head of the he's the top of the food chain. So everyone else said they taking him out, I have no chance.
In certain documents, he's considered, you know, the co-conspirator number 1, the head of an alleged criminal enterprise in certain indictments. And anytime the alleged head of a criminal enterprise is convicted, all of those below them might want to start thinking about their own best interest. Because again, he's got other cases. He's got 3 other cases. He's an unnamed co-conspirator in that Arizona case, which he now may turn into a indicted co-conspirator, because once prosecutors see a lane towards conviction, they start jumping on. So, you know, I know this is for half of America a shock and a wake-up call, but we are a nation of laws. And the law applies to everyone, not just the brown and black people. And so, you know, this is one of those days in American history. You asked, how was I going to, you know, tell my children about this? Both of them are out there watching right now. Of course, the 3-week-old doesn't really know what's going on, but the 16-year-old sure does. And I told her, this is one of those moments in American history where power and privilege failed. And now we got to deal with reality. And reality is he could spend the rest of his life in prison.
Let me touch on the fact that people are not paying attention to the actual jury makeup. What a lot of people don't understand, and what as attorneys we have to study juries. Every time we pick a jury, we have to be very meticulous in who we put on the jury, because that is going to dictate who gets back in there in that room in order to make those big decisions. And I know for me in certain professions, that depending on what kind of case, I would not want certain individuals on my jury, because I know how technical they will be when they get back in their jury room. For his attorneys to allow attorneys on this jury panel was
We'll
one
talk about
of
that.
that was a rookie. I I was told that is a rookie mistake when I first became a lawyer, that you do not, under any circumstance, place an attorney on your panel. And for the life of me, this is the President of the United States. Why did you put attorneys that could actually break down the law, and you thought that was going to land well with you on the back end? No, that is the work. You want the average working citizen on your panel. You want that potential person that voted for you or is planning on voting for you on that panel, not an attorney.
To your point, how could they have struck the lawyers, two lawyers on this, they have two lawyers in this on this I think it's two lawyers there. How did they get, what could he have done to not get them excluded?
He could have used challenges for cause. He
Mm-hmm.
could have used
Yeah.
peremptory challenges. You know,
Yeah.
challenge for cause mean they have some type of bias or leaning, or
Mm-hmm.
they aren't able to follow the evidence. Of course, that may not have worked as well. But you had at least, I mean, in Georgia, you have 9 strikes aside. So you can strike anybody, 9 people for any reason whatsoever. And just like Attorney Anderson just said, that's the first rule of criminal procedure and trial practice, is don't allow attorneys on the panel, because they're going to lead the jury. And if they lead the jury to break down these complex issues of law, this was a complex case, whether or not he paid this hush money to subvert the election laws in New York, was the basic premise. The attorneys can draw a straight line. All you have to do is believe Michael Cohen, and it's corroborated by one person, David Pecker, and now you have a conviction. That's all they had to do, and prove it beyond a reasonable doubt. And again, the jury instruction says typically the testimony of one witness, if believed, is sufficient. So attacking Michael Cohen's credibility and then it being bolstered by David Pecker is enough. And so I don't know where former President Trump got these lawyers, but they clearly have not practiced high-level criminal litigation in the state of New York. They were playing to an audience of one, and that audience typically loses. They lost an election, and now they've lost a trial, and they have 3 more to go. And so, here's the thing. A lot of media pundits were on other networks talking about all kinds of stuff that did not matter with regard to whether or not the prosecution could prove beyond a reasonable doubt to 12 citizens that Mr. Trump tried to hide Stormy Daniels and Karen McDougal's attempts to pay them off to keep those stories out of the media. You had his lawyer who made the payments, and you had Mr. Pecker who killed the stories. That's sufficient to prove anything.
Absolutely. And this question for Thelma. You brought up Stormy Daniels. What impact do you think Stormy Daniels' testimony had with the jury? Because she's very animated, as we know from prior testimonies in other cases. What impact do you think she had on these jurors? Because without her, there wouldn't have been a case.
No case.
Right.
I think Stormy, she aligned everything. So when you have individuals like, if it was just Cohen and Pecker that came and said, hey, this is going on, well, they are just a piece of the pie. When you are doing a trial, you have to make sure that each slice makes sense. So she was a slice of the pie, but she was the biggest slice of the pie because Cohen, in order for the state to corroborate what he's saying, along with Pecker, you needed her. She was a necessary ingredient in this prosecution.
Mm-mm-mm.
Absolutely.
So,
You know,
Gerald,
building a case is just like putting together, you know, blocks,
Mhm.
foundation of a house. And so you have to have the base, you have to have the walls, you have to have the interior. Stormy's the base.
Mhm.
She's what puts everything together. You know, the siding and the roof and everything else was Pecker and Cohen, and the
Mhm.
documents as well that built the interior of the house. And so, you know, the prosecution can get up there and say, listen, we don't pick these witnesses. These were the defendant's witnesses. But we just brought you the evidence as it laid out and then pointed you to the law. And then I
Yeah.
think Mr. Trump, you know, found out, you know, some of the frailties of the system. He was complaining about the prosecution getting to go last. I've been complaining about that for years. You know, people have it's been proven that it's primacy and recency. They remember
Right.
what they heard first, and they remember what
And
they
what
heard
they
last.
asked.
And clearly they heard the
Right.
prosecution last because they played back his closing argument by going back over those witnesses. And they went back over those
Insane.
witnesses, which drew a straight line to conviction. And now if Mr. Trump continues, and again, you know, I'm offering some free advice here, you know, from a 20-year litigator, stop talking about the judge and his
Listen.
family until after he sentences you. This is simple. I tell this to my clients all the time. Don't talk about the judge. But, you
Have,
know, he doesn't listen.
have he not learned from Tory? He should have took a page out of Tory Lane's book because Tory Lanez, we just had this situation with him making these statements about the judge, defying the judge's order over and over and over again. And what did the judge do?
Through the book end.
Sentenced him to prison when he was really looking at probation. But for his actions and how he created a circus, the judge just added up, and up and up what they needed in order to sentence him to prison instead of probation. This is the same thing for Trump. You have been terrorizing this judge who has been so lenient with you. If it was any average American citizen, they would have been behind bars several times for the actions that he had displayed throughout this process. They would have been coming out each day from behind the jail cell in order to attend court. This is one unheard of for a judge to be so lenient, but the judge gave him this leniency because he was the former president. And he did not understand why this judge was being so lenient with him. So he continued to irritate, aggravate, and disrespect this judge. And I don't think it's going to play well when it comes to sentencing because judges remember everything.
I think we're going to have one of the gentlemen from the Central Park Five that was convicted and their sentence was overturned, and I'm waiting for them to ping me right back. But I'm going to try to bring him on the show because we know what former President Trump said about the Central Park Five, and it's so ironic that he's been convicted in the same city that he was calling for the execution of these young men.
You know why?
And then what
That
about
block spent.
the leaking of the audio? This recent leaking of the audio, or the alleged statement that he made about people of color.
Well, here's the thing. The system should run effectively the way it normally does. And we shouldn't be putting our thumb on the scale of the system. He's been convicted. At this point, he has less constitutional protections. Again, I don't understand why the judge allowed him to go home for at least a month. I could see maybe continuing in a couple weeks, you know, to the middle of June. But you know, the system needs to work the way it works for every normal citizen of this country for the trust to be rebuilt in the system. Brown and black people have been saying this for years, that they're two-tier justice system.
Right.
And so the message that's going to have to be sent with this sentencing is there's not a two-tiered justice system. If he violated the laws of the state of New York and did it 34 times, it's a prison sentence. Now, how long that prison sentence is, you got to take into consideration his age, his lack of any criminal history, you know, the body of work for his entire life. Back, he is a former president of the United States, and there are security concerns.
I'm sorry.
So you got to take that in consideration. But I think
I'm sorry,
that
Jared. I'm sorry, Jared. Give me a second. I have Attorney Shabazz. We were trying to bring you up, but I have Attorney Griggs and Attorney Anderson on the live too. I was hoping you could get in because you have a lot of background.
The internet was like fucked up for about 20 minutes.
We're live. No profession. No profession.
I love her.
Can you hear?
I love it.
Ike?
I'm gonna try to get on, Dennis. But
Okay.
my service is janky for some reason. The internet is going
this
crazy
is live.
right now. So I don't have good service, and I'm moving around.
Okay, no problem. But we're live. We got to censor you. FCC is going to strike us. She said, "Oh, yeah." You know, Ike gets on. You got to be ready.
Yeah, you got to be ready for the
So,
you
so
know,
Ike. So the
not
question.
suitable for viewership language.
I'm gonna get on. I'm
Okay, all right.
Okay, and then she's driving too. Yeah, wow. Okay. But like I was saying, you know, the system, in order to rebuild trust in the system, has got to run effectively. And so, just like the Central Park Five was sentenced to prison, and so many others, brown and black people, were sentenced to prison for far fewer convictions on counts. There has to be a strong message sent here. And, you know, for the threats to the judge, threats to the judge's family, threats to the prosecution's family, all those things have to be taken into consideration. So I think that, you know, there needs to be a strong message sent. Again, it's weird for me to say that as a criminal defense attorney, civil rights attorney, but the stuff that this gentleman has done over the course of time mitigated to a strong sentence. Now, what that means, again, I don't know, you know, maybe 10 to 15 years, something like that. And, you know, maybe you let him out on good behavior after 7. But, you know, he needs to understand that, you know, you literally asked for innocent men who were merely accused and ultimately unnecessarily and improperly convicted to be put to death. Like, who does that?
Right.
And so I just think that we are seeing in real time power and privilege being brought to bear of accountability. We're not in the 50s. We're not in the 60s. We're in 2024. Harvey Weinstein got convicted. Jeffrey Epstein was about to be convicted or was convicted. Robert Sylvester Kelly was convicted. And now Donald Trump has been convicted. So people need to understand, doesn't matter how much money you have, doesn't matter what color of your skin. If you violate the law and it's proven beyond a reasonable doubt, you can be held accountable.
You made a good point just now, talking about the time from the time he's just got convicted until the time he's getting sentenced. What are the risks of his messaging?
Oh.
His
All right,
messaging.
remix.
You got an auto tuner over there?
Well, hold on. What is the risk of him being out and being able to send these messages out? I don't know. Something's coming over me.
I don't know.
It doesn't work for him because, one, like Gerald said, he needs to stop making statements. He needs to lay low. He needs to listen to his attorneys, and not his attorneys listening to him, because that's what it looks like. It looks like his attorneys are listening to him and not the other way around. So to me, I think it's a detriment to him because he vomits at the mouth. And this is going to be a continuation. He's going on campaign trail after campaign trail, talking about this is a miscarriage of justice. This is inappropriate. They have convicted me with baseless information. How dare this judge allow this to happen? Oh, he is about to go live after 5 every single day.
And look who we have here. Hey.
So while she joins,
What's good, Emily? What's good?
What's going on? Dennis, while she joins, I have to jump because I had an event I was supposed to be at, but I joined y'all.
Thank you. I
I'm gonna
appreciate
continue to
you.
watch, but I gotta go.
Thank you, Gerald.
We gonna keep it. We still gonna keep it turned up. But I have some questions for you, Attorney Shabazz.
Okay, let's talk about it. All
The
right.
conviction has happened. The
The
verdict
conviction
is
has
in.
happened.
He's
Yes,
been found
I
guilty of
heard.
all counts.
I heard that.
But before I ask you my question, someone had asked the question in the comment section. Since you're in New York, why wasn't his bond revoked?
Because it's a nonviolent crime. He's not going to get jail time.
Okay.
He very likely will get some sort of sentence that involves probation and a fine. You remember the very infamous memo that came out in the beginning of Alvin Bragg's after he became DA, after he ran, he issued this memo where he was going to be this new progressive DA, and he was not going to ask for jail time on nonviolent crimes, right? He was not. So why would he do that now?
We're gonna have to
why would
see
he
if
change
he.
that?
Let's see if he keeps his
Here's
word.
the other thing. Here's the other thing. Okay, let me just say how this works and why you shouldn't be happy. Nobody should be celebrating because this shit means nothing.
Right.
Again, manage your expectations. This means absolutely nothing. It's a red herring. It's a distraction. It's reinforcement of the system that is not built for us, or that is built for us and not for them, I should say. Mm-hmm. Now, what is going to happen is in 4 to 6 weeks, he'll return for sentencing, right? In the interim, he has to meet with probation. They write a report for the judge, and they recommend what the sentencing should be, right? Judges really don't give that a lot of credence, the probation recommendation. They really don't. In federal court, they give pretrial services recommendations a lot more weight than they do in state court. That's first. When he returns, the judge will then sentence him. Whether the judge sentences him to probation or a state prison bid, right? Say the judge is on one, and it's like, you know what? I'm gonna run all these sentences consecutive, and you're gonna get 100 years, right? Not gonna happen. But let's just say, here we have the process where you can stay a proceeding and apply or request bail pending your appeal. So I have a guy out on bail pending appeal right now. After the judge sentenced him to 11 months, he did 3 days, I think, because that's how long it took for us to get the motion together. I bet Trump's lawyers already have a motion together where they will be, of course, they'll be asking either Judge Mershon or the appellate court to stay any proceedings until his appeal. Now, let's revisit what happened in the Harvey Weinstein case. The appeals court in New York said, you know what, the prosecutors did too much. They introduced evidence that they should not have introduced that was highly prejudicial to the defendant, and in turn, basically denied him a fair trial. These dumbass prosecutors turned around and did the exact same thing. Now, to their credit, they didn't know that they was doing stupid shit because that decision came down in the middle of this stupid-ass trial. Right? I said stupid shit. That's a curse. You can't say shit.
They'll flag my video. They'll flag it.
I'm saying shit with SHYT. Exactly. SHYT. How about that?
Okay.
SHYT.
Sugar honey iced tea.
Anyway, so what they did was the error that they made is that in this falsification of business records trial, they introduced evidence that was absolutely irrelevant and highly prejudicial. Same thing they did with Weinstein. They introduced this testimony from Stormy Daniels, and they had Karen McDougal lined up. When the decision came down, it was like, oh, we're not gonna call her now. We're not gonna call her. But you called Stormy, and you elicited all kinds of information about sex, and at one point she.
What did that have to do with the document falsification, bringing her in? That's the question. I think we lost Ike, but she'll probably be back. We got her space is right there. We waiting. I don't know, something's going on with my voice right now. I don't know, but it's okay.
It is. It is. I think people we are in a climate, I don't know if people are still aware, we're in a climate where it's wrongful convictions going on every day. Sometimes the justice system gets it right. Sometimes they get it wrong. So with Trump, he's definitely going to be saying that he was wrongfully convicted, something that millions of African Americans have said over and over and over again. And in fact, the track record shows that there have been overreaching, prosecutorial misconduct, hiding evidence. So he does not have that angle, but he's going to use the angle for himself, for his benefit, where he said, no, this doesn't happen to people. The justice system works. Now he's going to be saying the justice system is broken.
Absolutely. And this is the scene outside in New York right now. And
look at the guy with the red tie. He looks like one of those old school reporters.
I got my red tie too, by the way.
He looked like one of them old school reporters. This is going down in history.
Yes.
This is a historical moment. Just like when he got elected, that was a historical moment. This is a historical moment. For the first time ever, a former president of the United States has been convicted of a crime that you never see. You never see this. And one thing I told individuals, if you are still planning to boycott Biden, understand that Trump will have 2 additional Supreme Court seats that come open.
2 more?
We can, yeah, because when you look at the age of Clarence and you look at the age of Alito, they are more likely going to retire if he is elected, so that he can add 2 more people that are going to continue to get the law wrong. So if there is anybody that thinks that, oh, Joe has messed up, yeah, Joe hasn't been Joe, but can we afford Trump? No.
And that's the question that I think we got Ike back. That's a question. And Ike, this is the scene outside. You know the area. You walk through this area many times.
Many times.
This is the scene outside.
Yeah.
So we have a security risk now. He's now a security risk.
Who's now a security risk?
No, well, do you think 34 convictions running for office is going to bode well with the people?
They do not care. This is inconsequential. I want you to understand. This has absolutely no impact on his election. In fact, it might have the opposite effect that many people think it will have. This is going to garner him more followers. He's a fucking martyr now. Y'all, I'm sorry. He's a freaking martyr now, right?
Yes,
he's a martyr. This is a witch hunt, and they're gonna donate more money. Oh, wait till the donations start. He's gonna be like, I need $10, people. Oh,
yeah, he's already been raising money for his legal defense.
Hand over fist. He's been raising money. All right, he was outpacing Joe Biden, raising money. I think that was a couple months ago. It means nothing. And my frustration is that people think it actually matters. It doesn't. It doesn't matter. Look at Scotty Sheffield. He dragged the damn cop. They gave him a police escort to his tea time and then dismissed his damn case. This system is not designed for them.
I'm looking at the crowd in New York. Looking at this crowd here. I don't know what's going to happen, but in New York right now. I definitely don't want to be downtown now.
I'm not. I'm not in the city. I'm about to go to CVS and pick up my little prescription for my little vitamin D. My doctor said I gotta have, and that's that. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to be monitoring the developments. I'm sure. I'm trying to get one of the speakers from one of the individuals from Central Park 5.
Okay.
on. So if I can get one of them on, I will ping you back, both of you. But
Okay,
right
cool.
now, yeah, we let me still follow up on this story. I appreciate both of you. I
Okay.
really do. This
All
is
right,
Absolutely.
guys.
history making, and you guys are I appreciate both of you being here. You know, this is
You're
something
welcome,
that
Dennis. All right, baby.
I
I'll talk to you
can't
guys later. I might jump on later on tonight after
absolutely.
things have died down a
Absolutely.
little.
Thank you. And here's a parting gift.
Kiss my
Bye,
ass,
y'all.
Dennis. Kiss my ass. Keep that.
They chanting in New York. They're chanting in New York, ladies and gentlemen. Wow. Oh my goodness. So there you have it. This is a breaking news story, man. You got the former president of the United States convicted in the city that he loves. Unfreaking believable. Unfreaking believable. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure you have your notifications on because I will be back getting with more follow-up on this story. This is a breaking news story. Donald J. Trump has been found guilty in New York on all counts. He is now a convicted felon. He's now a convicted felon. That's what it is. All right. Yeah. This is crazy. This is crazy. But we'll be back, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back. I think the YSL trial is over with, but it's not over with. It's over with for the day, but we will continue our coverage on that in the morning. And with that said, we're going to see you in a minute. We're out.